We are getting you this broadcast at a time when Israel is under attack. Terrorist organization Hamas has fired thousands of rockets towards the Israeli cities and towns. The death toll right now is over 300. That's what our sources in Israel are saying. And Israel has retaliated. There have been now casualties on part of the Palestinians also in Gaza Strip. But this is an unprecedented situation that has emerged in Israel. And to talk more on this, we have an esteemed panel. We are joined by Ms. Sharon Haskell. She is the member of the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. She belongs to the National Unity Party. Earlier, she was with the ruling Likud party of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now she's in the opposition camp. She belongs to the National Unity Party. She has also served in the Israeli Defense Forces as a combat soldier during the Second Intifada. And she's considered as one of the most articulate voices from the Israeli political system. And she has been very vocal about the issues. She has herself served in the Israeli Defense Forces, and she knows this issue very well. We also have with us Ms. Litel Shimesh. She's one of the most popular television anchors from Israel. She joins us from Israel, and we also have a resident from Ashkelon. It's a Israeli city which is located near the Gaza Strip, and it has faced the brunt of the violence that has been unleashed by terrorist group Hamas. My name is Sunil Bhatt, and now I will talk to these special guests from Israel one by one. I will first go to Sharon Haskell. She is the member of the Israeli Parliament, the Knesset. Ma'am, first of all, many thanks for speaking to India today. I can understand that it's a very difficult time for Israel and the Jewish community there. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of you who are facing this, unprecedented situation right now. Ma'am, can you just share details that what exactly is the situation right now there?
Thank you very much, Sunil, and thank you for your thoughts and your prayer for the state of Israel as well, and to all the citizens who are praying for a citizen. This has been one of the worst attacks in 50 years since the war that we call the War of Yom Kippur. We have hundreds of dead, 1,800 casualties, wounded. Hamas has invaded into 22 towns in Israel and have committed acts of, to be honest, these are actually war crimes. I cannot describe it anywhere else but crimes against humanity and war crimes. The videos that we are getting from those atrocities that they have committed in innocent civilians, in children, in women, in elderly people is absolutely devastating. And it is, I think, a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call because this will be remembered as the first day of war between Iran and Israel. Hamas wouldn't have been able to attack Israel that way if Iran wouldn't have backed it up physically, financially, and with its proxies as well. And this has to be a call on the international community. This is not only war on Israel, this is a war of radical Islam on the Western world. And if Israel loses this war, then the next front is going to be Europe and the rest of the Western world. And those images that are coming from Israel are just a bit of what can happen. I can tell you one thing, Sunil, to all of our enemy who might be watching us. Israelis are united right now in this war. We will be able to overcome it. We will be able to defend our people and our land as we've done many times before. Unfortunately, Hamas has forced us now to probably, and this is, I say, on my opinion and not in the government name, but Hamas has probably forced us to go now into Gaza in order to liberate women and children that they are holding hostages. This is going to be a long war, but we have to teach radical Islam a lesson that these things are unacceptable, not in Israel and not anywhere else in the world.
Sharon Haskell, in the recent past, we have seen that there has been, internal issues within, Israel. We have seen that there have been series of protests taking place against the judicial reforms. So has Hamas taken advantage of the internal situation of Israel?
These are internal issues, but let me send them one message. In anything to do on defending our people and our land, we are united together. All these internal battle we are putting aside, and we are going to concentrate on one thing and one thing only: to bring back the defense and the security to our people and to our country.
Right. Little, coming to you. I mean, uh, Israel has been caught off guard. I mean, such kind of terror attacks have not been seen earlier. Although Israel has faced terrorism from the Palestinian terror groups, but the magnitude and the scale of this escalation is huge. So, I mean, has Israel been caught off guard, and has there been a major intelligence failure?
Yeah, I think that's a question that all of us are asking ourselves at the moment. But Israel, in the moment, is focusing in getting safety back to the people of Israel and getting back the hostages into Israel. All of those questions on what happened to the intelligence, we will be dealing with that in the upcoming weeks and months. At the moment, the main focus is getting back our women, children, elderly people from the Gaza Strip back into Israel. And I couldn't agree more with what MK Sharon Eskel just said about getting the international community to understand how severe this situation. We need everyone on board in the fight with Israel against the Islamic radical terrorists who did those horrific attacks into innocent Israeli civilians. So at the moment, the main focus is, first of all, getting back our men and women, and then dealing with the situation why Hamas is undeterred. And I think the people in Israel, both left and right, are expecting the government at the moment to hit back hard, because as you can see, Hamas is literally not deterred. So it's not just Hamas looking on what's happening now, it's the entire Middle East. It's Hezbollah sitting on our northern border watching Israel's reaction.
So, listen, tell me one thing that, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that he is going to hit hard, the Hamas. But, there are issues within Israel. Do you think that the political parties of Israel are going to bury the hatchet and bury their differences for now and stand together to face this, challenge?
100%. We've heard comments, we've heard declarations from leaders in the opposition saying we're backing the prime minister and we're backing the state of Israel in everything that it's doing. If there's one thing that uniting us here in Israel is times of war, and I think there is a total unity within left and right wing in Israel at the moment to fight back and to fight back hard and to hit Hamas as hard as we can. Otherwise, we will never achieve peace, not in Israel and not in this region.
I want to bring MK Sharon Haskell once again in this discussion. Ma'am, I just wanted to know one thing that, what has led to this kind of escalation between Israel and Hamas? Because the scale and magnitude of this entire, confrontation is huge. I mean, Hamas is saying that they have carried out these operations because of the desecration of Al-Aqsa Mosque and the treatment that is being meted out to the Palestinian prisoners by Israel. But what exactly is the reason behind this sudden escalation?
The reason behind it is Iran. Iran is continuously provoking Israel. Iran is extremely worried about a relationship being built with Arabia, Saudi, and Israel together. Iran is scared of what's happening with its nuclear relationship between them and America, and what's happening in the boundaries that they're trying to set them. Iran is the one behind this attack. It's trying to take the focus, and it's attacking innocent civilians. It's been backing up Hamas. Hamas would not be able to commit an attack as it was if it wasn't for the physical backing of Iran and financial backing of Iran. We need to understand that they're the one who are provoking, and they're using proxies around the world. They are using the proxy of Hamas as well. who have declared war on Israel. And let me tell you one more thing, Sunil. They are using Hezbollah as their proxy as well. And you will see that, and we've seen that even tonight with some mortars that are being shot from our northern border by Hezbollah. This is backed up by Iran as well.
So you feel, sorry to interrupt you there. So you feel that Hezbollah could also escalate the tension on the northern side of Israel from Lebanon?
Of course, you just need to listen to what Hassan Nasrallah is saying and what Hezbollah spokespeople are saying. They are saying they are going to take part in this act of war as well. They are backing up Hamas, and they say they will not be afraid to do it. More so, tonight they already shot mortars through this border into one of the mountains here in Israel. This is just the start of this escalation. But we have a message to them as well. I tell them, do not attempt us on the northern border. President Biden sent a very strong message this morning as well, sending Hezbollah a message as well. Do not tempt America too. Even I saw the president of France backing Israel as well. The international community is standing behind Israel in that as well. And we hope that Hezbollah and Iran will not escalate the situation further than what it was later on, earlier
Mhm.
on.
Right, right. We also have with us Avishag Avinom. She belongs to Ashkelon city of Israel. The city is located near the Gaza Strip, and it faced the brunt of the rocket attacks from Hamas in the last 2 days. Avishag, what is the latest situation in Ashkelon?
Avishag, you're on mute.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we
So,
can hear you.
yeah, since 4 a.m. we haven't had any rockets firing towards our city. But I couldn't sleep, my family couldn't sleep. We were all alerted from the past 20 hours that is, been through all over Israel and especially on the southern cities of the country. And yeah, so people are now mainly they're in a state of shock and overwhelmed from what is happening, especially watching all the footages circling online, social media, international outlets, and Hamas sharing them freely on TikTok, Instagram, um, Telegram as well. So watching all these footages, very disturbing footages that Lital and Sharon described before, just cannot keep you calm, cannot give you peace, even just to fall asleep. I can tell on myself, I didn't eat anything yesterday. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't digest anything, just up until this morning, out of the fear and adrenaline and the constant thinking about what is happening to the people of Israel in southern Israel and my friends, my family. My sister, she lives in Mafkiim, which is even closer to Gaza, and she has a twins and two little girls, and she's alone there with her husband. And while Hamas terrorists were roaming streets of small communities on the Gaza envelope, we were extremely scared, and so do they. Very scared from the situation, from what might happen to them, and so we were in constant communication with them via WhatsApp group, telephone, and so on. I can also share with you about my friend who she lives in Netiva Asara. I think after Sderot, it's the most affected community that was many of its citizens died. So she is living right next to the border with Gaza, and she was locked in their house in the house for about 13 hours, hearing gunshots right outside her home. And around 5 p.m. yesterday, when it finally cleared, they went outside and they took the car and they just vanished. And apparently, they were the only house, the only family that stayed alive from the line of from the area of the houses that were there. Both of her neighboring families were found massacred in their houses. So this was a miracle for her. And we are all thanking God that she's safe. And I cannot even imagine what the locals are going through right now, with all their families are just, dead. It's very,
Absolutely,
very
Abhishek. We have seen the horrific videos that have emerged from Israel and how Hamas terrorists, targeted innocent civilians there. Truly, these are very horrific videos that have emerged. But Abhishek, I just wanted to know one thing: that are there enough bomb shelters for the residents in the vulnerable cities and towns of Israel?
That's a very good question. Ashkelon is very, you have an area of Ashkelon which is pretty much new. So most of the buildings and houses, you do have safe rooms inside of their houses, same as I have here. But you also have a lot of old buildings that was built during the 50s and the 70s, which don't contain this safe room. So many people who are old, they live in those places, in those areas, like my grandma, for instance. So she imagine an old woman, okay, alone in the house, in her apartment, has to walk, which it's really hard for her to move. Have to walk to the stairs of the building in order to keep herself safe. Obviously, she doesn't do that. She couldn't care anymore. But this is the situation, and I think also the government should um, uh, launch a project, building safe spaces for these people. It's a must.
Truly, Abhishek, please be safe, and our
Thank you.
thoughts and prayers are with all of you. Ma'am Sharon Heskel, I just want to come to you again. I just wanted to ask you the question that I asked Litel earlier, that has there been a major intelligence failure on part of the Israeli intelligence agencies? And I mean, we were very surprised when we saw the images of Hamas terrorists infiltrating into Israeli cities and towns on bikes. I mean, how could this happen? Israel has a very strong and robust, security management system. How could something like this happen?
So, as I said, this couldn't have happened without the backing up, the physical backing up of Iran and Iranian hackers. I say that the times for accounts and learning lessons will come after the war, after we will win this war. For now, the only thing we concentrate and make accounts for is how we bring our troops safely and how we evacuate the families, how we bring back those hostages. Um, when you heard of Vishag, it's devastating for so many families. You need to understand they invade towns and started going from house to house and completely massacring entire families, women, children, elders. Anything that we will need to learn in order to reinforce the security of Israel, we will do that after the war. But right now, the only thing that we in the coalition and opposition together as one will concentrate on is how to win this war, bring back our casualties, and bring back the safety and security to all of our citizens entirely.
Sharon Haskell, you talked about, bringing back the, Israelis who have been held hostage by Hamas. Many Israelis have been, captured and taken to Gaza Strip. How is Israel going to secure their release? Is Israel going to negotiate with Hamas? What will be the way out?
Well, this is I'm saying only on in my behalf and not in the behalf of the Israeli government. But what I think is that Hamas had left us no other choice but going back into Gaza. Unfortunately, the international community has forced Israel to completely evacuate Gaza from every single living Jew. We even took the dead Jews out of Gaza back into the state of Israel and gave them an autonomy to try and build a Singapore. The international
So,
community
so Sharon Haskell, so Sharon
safety for our
Haskell,
country.
Sharon Haskell, do you feel that Israel stands vindicated because you guys vacated Gaza at one point of time, and then suddenly Hamas emerged, and it was a very
It wasn't suddenly
very dangerous.
emerged, Sunil. It was voted in. They were voted by the Gazan people in a democratic election. They voted for a terrorist organization. Instead of turning Gaza into a Singapore, they turned it into an ISIS, into an Islamic radical state of terror. And while its only purpose is to completely annihilate the state of Israel. We had more than 3,000 missiles being shot on Israel in the past 24 hours. Try and imagine your family when it's raining with rockets, needing to run into shelter. This is what Israeli citizens are experiencing. And on that, there will be no forgiveness. We will have to go in and rescue our citizens and bring back the safety and the deterrence to our country and to our people.
Sharon Haskell, talking about the larger Israel-Palestine conflict, do you think that the two-state solution is dead now?
Well, unfortunately, this has proven time after time that the Palestinians don't want a state beside Israel. They want a state instead of Israel. When they are chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, it means that the entire state of Israel, from the Mediterranean Sea until the Jordan of Israel, will be free of Jews. And I listen to what they chant, and I believe their attention. And the world needs to see, and the world needs to understand that the Palestinians, time after time, failed wanting and trying to live side by side with Israel. They want to live instead of Israel. And what happened in the last 24 hours is a proof for that. They have an autonomy. They are declared as an autonomy by the United Nations, by the European Union, by America, everybody. They could have built a beautiful home for them with a thriving economy. But what did they choose to do? They choose to invest in terror and in hatred and in racism and in violence against our people. When when the Palestinian children will be more important for them than murdering Jews, that's the day that you will understand that maybe we'll be able to live side by side. Right now, you see the Gazan people, the Palestinian Hamas, using children as human shields, and you see them going out murdering, butchering children, raping women, doing those atrocities that you've seen that ISIS is doing. This is what they're doing. This is their attention. I listen and I see what they are doing and their attention. And the world needs to see that, and they need to understand that. The Palestinians do not want a two-state solution. The Palestinians do not want a country of themselves beside the state of Israel. They want a country instead the state of Israel.
Little, the argument that comes from the Palestinian groups and the Palestinian Authority is that Israel has built, numerous settlements in the West Bank, which are internationally illegal. That's what the argument comes from the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah. And there are many Palestinian, individuals, many activists who say that Gaza Strip is the world's biggest open air, prison. Israel has subjected it to, suffocating blockade. What will you, how will you like to counter these, allegations?
I will just go back to what you've mentioned about the disengagement from Gaza in 2005. We tear down entire cities, entire Jewish cities, population. And it was a heartbreaking to see, to the Israeli society, taking down cities, disengaged from the Gaza Strip, gave up our own homeland. And what we've got in return is just more rockets and more terror attacks. So I ask you, is Israeli towns and city are the obstacle for peace? Because if so, we would have had peace long ago. The obstacle for peace is the pure refusal of the Palestinians to recognize the state of Israel, the only Jewish state in the world. And as Sharon Haskell said, time and again, the Palestinians have proven us that they're doing everything in their power to annihilate the state of Israel. We're getting terror attacks from the Palestinian Authority. We're getting terror attacks from Hamas in Gaza. Iran is saying time and time and again they want to wipe Israel off the map. Hezbollah, proxy of Iran up north in our northern border. And this is not just a war against Israel. This is a war against the free world, and we all need to stay united Because what is happening in Israel now is no different than what is happening, what ISIS has been doing in Europe or what Boko Haram has been doing in Africa. The same radical Islamic terrorists trying to kill innocent civilians.
Little in the recent past, we have seen that Israel has signed peace agreements with many Arab countries, whether it was Bahrain, UAE. Abraham Accord was signed. It was a historic moment, and now recent days we have seen that Israel is also talking to Saudi Arabia behind the curtains. There are certain negotiations taking place. Do you think that the normalization of relations between Israel and the Arab countries has somehow rattled Iran, and that is why this kind of we are seeing this kind of terror taking place in Israel now by Hamas?
Yes, 100%. Iran is watching the Arab world getting closer to Israel, understanding that they want to flourish, that they want to live in peace. And Iran is doing everything in its power to try and demolish those relationships. You cannot ignore what is happening now with Israel making ties with Saudi Arabia. We've only signed, a few years ago, the peace agreements with the United Arab Emirates and with Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan. The world is getting closer and closer to Israel, and the world, the countries of the world needs to decide on what side are they on the side of the light and progress, or on the side of terrorism and darkness. And what is happening in Iran in the recent few years is just this. It's just horrific, how they're treating their women, how they're treating their people. And obviously, Saudi Arabia is also an enemy of Iran. And they're trying to sabotage. They're trying to sabotage them coming closer to Israel, maybe hopefully in the future, signing a peace agreement. So yeah, that's also a part of what Iran is trying to do.
Right. Little, you must have seen that during the G20 summit recently in New Delhi, on the sidelines of that, there was an agreement that was made that there will be India and Middle East, Europe economic corridor that is also going to pass through, Saudi Arabia and Israel. Do you think that that is also a factor?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the ties relations with India is affecting what is happening now with Iran. All I know is that Iran trying.
I'm saying the very fact that economic corridor is going to be built and it's going to pass through Saudi Arabia as well as Israel, and it's going to Europe right from India. MK Sharon Haskell, would you like to come in on this issue?
Well, I think that any kind of approach that make Israel and Arabia Saudi a little bit closer will put the Iranian on the fences and in defense. They are worried about it. They are worried because one of their biggest enemies is Arabia Saudi. And the more Arabia Saudi have better friends who are capable of sharing their security needs, like America, like Israel, and like India as well. Obviously, it worries Iran and it puts them on the fences.
Sharon Haskell, what should be the role of Israel's Arab friends in the current crisis? Do you think they can help in de-escalation of situation? Could they play the role of negotiator, mediator in the current crisis, like countries like Egypt, Jordan, or UAE? Can they help in de-escalating the situation?
There is no going back from the point that we are at the moment. I know that many people maybe want to be mediator, but the magnitude of the tragedy that we've experienced in the last 24 hours and the worries that we have for the hostages that are in Gaza are immense. And so I don't think that we can have any mediator on that side. Nevertheless, time after time, Hamas has proven that any kind of negotiation is sort of a ceasefire until the next battle. Right now, Hamas has joined forces as a proxy of Iran. There is no going back from that point. And unfortunately, we have a very difficult and challenging mission at the moment. Bringing
Mhm.
back the safety, the security, the deterrence in our southern border is our greatest mission at the moment. It's going to take time, but we won't stop until we achieve it.
So, is there a possibility now in near future that Israel and Palestinian leaders can come on the negotiating table again, or do you think that that possibility is not going to be there now? I mean, the kind of terror attacks that have taken place in Israel last 2 days, you feel that all possibilities, of having peace talks between Israel and Palestine, seems to be unlikely now.
As I said, if Palestinian leadership will stop funding terror, will stop inciting and poisoning the minds of young children against Jews, when they will stop educating their children in their school towards racism against Jews, when they stop paying for people to go out and murder innocent civilians, when they will love their children more than they want or hate the Jews, that might be the day that we'll be able to sit down around a table and speak to the Palestinian leadership.
Sharon Haskell, in last 2 days, all of us have been, shocked by the barbarity that has been, unleashed on the Israeli people by Hamas. But there are countries like Pakistan, former Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. I mean, he tweeted and he almost justified what Hamas did in Israel. And other Pakistani politicians have also almost, justified what Hamas has done. What will be your message to the Pakistani leaders and Pakistani politicians?
Well, as I said, this is a joint forces of radical Islam, of Islamic terrorists who are joining forces together, and it's not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on the Western world, on democratic values of equality, of values of democracy, of freedom, of liberties. This is what they are actually attacking. And so it happens in many places in the world. It's a joint fight of all of us together. And you know what my message to Pakistanis will be is you have to make a decision. Are you standing beside the Western world with values of freedom, of liberty, of equality? Or do you support radical Islam, or you support terrorism? And they will need to pick a side.
Mhm. Avishag, Indians and Israelis share very good, people-to-people contacts. Have you been getting messages from your Indian friends, or, messages of solidarity? And you must have also seen the tweet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He has expressed solidarity with the state of Israel, and he has also, unequivocally condemned what has happened, and he has also termed it as terror attacks. What is the response of the Israeli people as far as the reactions that have by being given by the Indian leadership?
Okay, so I have many friends in India. Also, I recently got back from there. Um, so yeah, I get tens tens of messages from Indian citizens sending me their condolences, sending me their support from from above, from beyond the sea, and the love of the Indian people to the Israel nation is very present. Like you can feel it in, and it's crossing, people on my social media from all across the world, seeing the support of my Indian friends, starting from journalists and political activists and musicians, and artists. They're sharing their stories. We are standing with Israel. So once they see that from Indians, or it can come from any other country, but once they see people from other countries supporting Israel publicly, they also do it as well. So I get also support. I get also share of videos, and we stand with Israel from people from the Philippines, from the Netherlands, from Germany, all over the place. So the support of India publicly in Israel is very important in explaining Israel.
Right. Litel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry for
Yeah.
the disconnect earlier.
No, that's okay. So would you like to say something on this? I mean, Indians have been tweeting right since yesterday. I mean, it has been trending also on Twitter. India stands with Israel. I mean, what would you like to say?
Yeah, that was actually amazing. I've also read Narendra Modi's tweets, the Prime Minister of India. Israel and India shares the same values for democracy, the same values for peace, the same values for human rights. And I think the entire world should be united around the fact that we need to fight to chase. We need to fight. Sorry, I got just disconnected again. Then we need to fight and to
We can hear you.
those terrorists. We need the world to stand next to Israel.
Right. MK Sharon Haskell, I mean, what will be your message to the international community? I mean, Israel is under attack right now. I mean, so many Israelis have been kidnapped and they have been held hostage and they have been taken to Gaza by Hamas. And Israel is retaliating. But what does Israel expect from the international community?
Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you to all of the leaders of the world who have stood by Israel and sent messages and condolences and prayers. We thank you and we cherish so much that friendship and we don't take it for granted. My other message needs to be that we need to aim at the head of the snake and we need to cut the head of the snake, and that's Iran. And all the leaders of the world need to join forces together in boycotting Iran completely, financially, economically, from the infrastructures, everything. It needs to send a message, cut straight to the point, that this is unforgettable, unforgivable, and that Iran will never gain enough power to attack more and more countries who are surrounding her. We've seen Iran time after time attacking in its regions, civilian airports, sending proxies in Yemen, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Africa. The international community and world's leader have to make a stop for that. We need to stand together and completely boycott Iran.
So what you are saying is that the countries who sponsor terrorism, who provide support to terrorism, must be isolated, and these countries even include
isolated,
Pakistan.
sanctioned, isolated, sanctioned in any way possible.
Mm-hmm. Right, because India has also been facing terrorism from Pakistani terror groups. There are terror groups like Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, which are based in Pakistan and which have been carrying out attacks in India. So India has been saying it time and again that we need to isolate all those countries who have been sponsoring terrorism, and world should not distinguish terrorism as good terrorism and bad terrorism. Good terrorism and bad terrorism, this distinction should not be made. Terrorism is terrorism, and entire world must come together to fight this menace.
Absolutely, and I think that the strongest message that can be sent at the moment is that the United Nations and the leaders of the United Nations that knows that Iran stand behind this vicious attack that were an act of a war crime and a crime against humanity will be kicked out of the United Nations and its facilities. I think this would be a proper step to send a clear message to any other country who is thinking in joining forces with this radical Islam and terrorist group, that the international community will not accept them, not in their facilities, not at the United Nations, and will sanction them.
MK Sharon Haskell, Litel Shamish, and Avishag Avinom, thank you so much for joining us and participating in this discussion. We hope that situation gets better and there is de-escalation and peace prevails. And our thoughts and prayers, I would also once again say that our thoughts and prayers are with all of you, and our sincere condolences with all those families who have lost their loved ones.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for all your prayers and thoughts. Thank you.
And thank you
Thank
to
you.
the Indian people who their thoughts and prayers are with Israelis as well. We really cherish it, and thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Toda Rabba, Shalom, Namaskar.
Namaste.